We are live. Hey, Prince, how are you doing this morning?
What's up? What's up? I'm great. I'm great.
Yeah,
I'm great and grateful. How are you?
doing well. I'm actually, I am having a blast. I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm in Breckenridge. It's, a ski resort in Colorado. And here with the group, it's kind of networking, right? It's a professional group of people who, do a lot with Facebook and ads and all that sort of stuff. So this is like our getaway. And the guy that organized it got this amazing house. This house is just, it, it's crazy. It's absolutely amazing. So, I woke up.
Is it like an Airbnb or is it his
It
house?
it is, but it's like a different level. So there's something called, it begins with an I, called like Insperity or Inspiron or something. And I mean, this house is huge. I mean, literally there's like three kitchens in the house, and I mean it's mad. It's massive, but it's basically
Wow,
it's
what do
like
you mean three kitchens?
we have 15 people in this house,
Okay.
and we just all have our own bedrooms. So, so
Gotcha.
yeah, it's
Gotcha.
pretty wild. But no, I mean, speaking of which, yeah, I mean, we were just getting breakfast ready, and it's funny because all of us are in the crypto space too. So it's like a big geek out, you know, digital marketing and crypto, and everyone's talking about like, what's going on and everything on
What's
it.
every, what's the consensus amongst the group? Like, what's everybody feeling in 2018
Well,
prediction wise?
that's an interesting one. I think all of us are pretty excited about 2018, and I'm sure. I mean, you're pretty big into crypto too, right, Prince? I mean, how long you've been?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this for? It's not like you just didn't just start yesterday, if I remember when we met.
No, 2 days ago, actually.
Oh,
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
No, I listen. I got in early, like March, April of last year. So almost a year, something like that. And I mean, I'm not. Um, I've been going to conferences, shaking hands, meeting people. I love the space. Obviously, I can't devote everything to it, like a lot of other people are. But as much as I can, I mean, it does take up maybe an hour of my day every day. I'm like, trying to find out what's going on in the news.
Oh, really? Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I love it, man. I love crypto. I should have
So,
wore my Ethereum shirt, man. I got like an
oh,
Ethereum
you got
hoodie.
Ethereum shirt. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. No, that's funny. I know on our end. So, answering your question, what is the consensus? So, I'm more of a fundamentals guy, so I don't really actually day trade, but some of these guys are like really into day trading. And do you read charts at all or anything, or are you into that?
A little bit. Hmm.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So like I know how to read charts, but I'm sure like reading charts is one of those things where like you have to like always be on it. You know what I mean? Like you can't like just like check in on a chart occasionally. You got to like know how like the history is, know what the future is going. Like I feel like to really do well on like technicals and charts, you got to spend like 3 or 4 hours a day, like every day. It's kind of like exercise. You know what I mean? It's like you can go to the gym and maybe lift a little bit, but if you're not consistent with it, it's just not going to
Yeah.
happen. So like you could
Yes.
know. So
Yeah. I mean, all the great traders, they say. I was gonna say all the great traders. They say you got to treat it like a business. I mean, you have to put in the hours and keep up the track on where's the RSI, what's the volume looking like, and all that stuff. Which I find it interesting, but like you, I can't do it too much, man. I mean, it's like this risk reward type of thing. I mean, like balance, just trying to figure out my stress levels and my reward levels, trying to balance that out.
yeah,
So yeah,
no, definitely.
but
But
the
the high
fundamentals are important too. That's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. But the high level, so if you want like, call it a tip or whatever. And again, this is me, like I understand the charts to see what they're saying, but this isn't a prediction. I'm just kind of parroting what, the chart reader guys are saying and stuff like that is right now, like we've broken a resistance level in Bitcoin. I think it was like 9,300 or 9,400 was like a big, level. And also with Litecoin, and the next like I don't even know the term. Like the next like level
Wave?
where it's going to sit at, the next wave or whatever is Bitcoin at 12,000, and Litecoin, I think it's like 290 or something, like close to $300 basically. So, and this is something that, they're predicting, based on all the charts and all their market knowledge and all that, it's going to happen in the next, 2 weeks. So I don't know if that's true or not. I try not to catch those waves, but like that's not my thing. But then there's also the side. It's like, well, hey, maybe I can. So I think like yesterday I did drop. I did drop a little extra money into Litecoin just to kind of see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's money. I was like, hey, let me just throw some money into Litecoin because I like Litecoin, and I don't know. Are you a big fan of Litecoin, or are you more of a Bitcoin guy, or do you do it all? Or
Yeah. I follow Charlie on Twitter, man, and I think it's a cool platform. The sentiment amongst people that I talk to is some people don't like it, some people love it, some people love it.
Actually, did you?
But what's funny about the Litecoin prediction? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. I've got a little lag on my end.
I was gonna say Peter. I follow Peter Brandt. You know Peter?
I've heard of him. I don't know him personally or anything like that.
He's just a classical old school trader, and he makes good calls on his Twitter. And he made the call for Litecoin at like, I don't know, like 160 or something, like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And I didn't take it, but like I was like, man, I told some people and they took it, but I didn't take it because I'm kind of locked in my positions. But that thing is definitely, it broke out for sure.
No, definitely. It definitely broke out, and people are, it was kind of exciting, right? The market's been kind of slow, which is good. I mean, I don't know how you are, but I try not to spend too much time actually looking at my positions, because like the more I dink around with it, like I find myself, I'm not saying like I don't benefit occasionally, but every time I try to like swing trade or like do some stuff, like it always bites me in the butt. You know what I mean? And what I mean is, like, if I'll make like an extra 20% here, an extra 20% there, but then I'll get out of a big position, or get out of a position that the thing will go up like 400%. And, I'll miss all the, like, it just happened to me with Lisk. Lisk had that big pop. So what I tend to do is, like, whenever there's a big pop, because you see these whales, right? There's these big pops, and there's always a sell-off and a big pop and a sell-off. So like whenever there's like a 40% jump in the day, I'll just like, liquidate like 40% of my position, because 9 times out of 10, that 40% drops back down to like a 10% gain, right? So that I can kind of buy back in, so I like tried to catch the wave and sold the bottom. But the thing is, I don't know how you are, but like, I'm not like full-time looking at this stuff all the time. So I'll do it, and then I'll like go away and go like eat or go do something else or get involved with something else. And then I'll like forget, and it'll be 3 days later. And like, that's what happened with Lisk. Like I sold off a bunch of Lisk. I was going to get back into it. I got, I don't know, I got busy or whatever. And I get back to it, and Lisk now is like, went up like 100%. I'm like, oh man, I missed out on all that. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's like this psychological game, right? You can't win them all. What I do is I try to teach people on my platform this kind of modern day. The modern day term is mindfulness, right? And I think trading in crypto is like the ultimate mindfulness practice, right? You're really in the trenches, and to realize that you can't win them all. You can't always hit a home run. Right. But even though you want to, you can't, sell at the top and buy at the bottom. You can't do it, even though you really want to. So you got to kind of tone it back and get to this space where, okay, I'll win a little bit, and I'll be conservative. I'll be smart. I'll put stop losses, and you got to do it that way. This is what the big traders do. Even though my like right? My initial reaction is I want to sell at the top. No, I don't want to get out yet, even though the RSI is, it's overbought, and so I don't. But crypto is different too, right? Crypto is like its own animal, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I think the understanding in like the traditional stock world is like if the RSI is over like 60, you need to get out. But in crypto, I mean, we see RSIs at like 80 for a while, 80, 90, and I'm like,
it keeps going and going and going, right?
Oh.
They're like, ah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So, hey, outside of crypto, I'm curious, what have you been up to? You were telling me yesterday you're back at the studio again. Are you back in like content creation mode, or, what's new with you and what's going on that front?
Yeah, Charles. Ultimately, man, I'm back trying to create content that can help people, that can serve people. This is what I do. This has always been what's kind of really motivated me as far as my purpose is just service, right? Helping people understand the tricks that they play on themselves in the mind, to show people that the world is there is no objective reality, right? The world is essentially you. It's all about perception. There's no the only difference between a weed and a flower is a judgment, right?
Really?
So I just try to teach people this, and so I'm just creating creative content around these topics, just to help people live better, less stress-free or more stress-free lives, so that we can be a peaceful society. This is my mission.
Wow. Now, are you like, that sounds very, what's the term, like yoga like or Zen like? So do you meditate then, or are you like, it seems like that's in that vein?
Yeah. Exactly. No, absolutely, man. Very much into spirituality, but I also have a scientific background, right? I got my degree in anthropology. So I'm a very empirical guy, right? Very evidence-based. So I love, I've been reading lately just cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive behavioral therapy, general semantics, a lot of just scientific thing, because I honestly don't see a difference. Like, we try to make this distinction between spirituality and science, but true spirituality, well, science is defined as the empirical pursuit of the truth, and true spirituality is the empirical or experiential pursuit of the nature of reality. It's the same thing. So we try to put this science for spirituality, this fight, but I think we can use them both to better the planet and help us reach our human potentials.
Interesting. Let me not pitch. Let me run something by you. This is something I read about a month ago, and it's something I've been trying to work on, because it's all, literally, I'm like listening to what you're saying. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like a fucking genius, because like, it's all about like, the mind. Yeah. So like, I changed my thought process where like before, like if things would either go my way or they wouldn't go my way. And when things go your way, everything's fine, right? We just expect everything to go our way, right? I expect Litecoin to be $10,000, by next month. And if that happens, that's great, but that's not reality. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what I did was I shifted it from, instead of good and bad things that happened to me, I'm trying to look at things like I have a plan, and then if something doesn't go to plan, it's unplanned. And here's the interesting thing, and this is what I noticed about myself. Personally speaking, I'm an eternal optimist. So like everything I plan, and I don't know how you plan your day, but like if I plan my day, I plan my week, like if I actually objectively step back and look at it without emotions, it's like completely unrealistic and completely ludicrous. It's like, I'm going to wake up. What's my plan? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to run 5 miles. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm not going to, touch any sugars. I'm going to say, great things, make my girlfriend happy. Like that's the plan. Yeah. And then it never goes that way, because that's life. But what I found, and this is interesting, and I'd be curious to get your opinion on this. If I look at it from plan, like before, like if it didn't go my way, I'd get like depressed. I'd be like, oh man, this sucks, this person's being mean to me, or they suck, or, the Litecoin thing, the banks are fucking it, blah, 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 blah. But now what I find is when I try to get in the mode of unplanned instead of negative, like it's still kind of the same thing because unplanned is like what didn't plan on happening, but like it puts me in a more like constructive state. So I'm not like, woe is me. And I can actually, okay, well, this didn't go as planned. I didn't expect this to happen. Okay, well, this kind of sucks. It's disappointing. Now let me see, let me reassess my situation. And based on that situation, let me adjust, because maybe the fundamental problem I find is usually my expectations are unrealistic. And I know we're getting a little like Zen-like or whatever, and we probably have to find a way to bring this back to the crypto side. But regardless, like I think that mind shift is a key thing. Well, it's been interesting for me. I don't know how you kind of look at these things, because like, you really seem to know a lot about this stuff. I'm just some guy trying to do this. I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, I think that's brilliant. I think that's a brilliant insight that you have. I mean, we got the same brain, so I'm not any more brilliant than you are. I think there's an old. It's funny you talk about planning and all that, and there's an old saying: if you want to make God laugh, show him your plans. Right, because the universe it goes its own way.
Yeah.
But somehow the universe finds its way and moves, and really, ultimately, nature's processes are in control. We can do the best that we can, and this is the path to serenity. Right, the Taoists talk about it, the Stoics talk about it. Right, do the best you can, but detach yourself from the result. Right, from the fruit, right?
Okay.
This is the path to serenity. There's also an old saying. It's like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can't, to know the difference, right? Right. And I think it's just wise. I think when you have that mental shift, I think that's just wisdom. That's just growing up. That's just understanding that, you don't want to put yourself under unnecessary stress, because that is not helpful, right? When you're stressed out, you're not as productive. You don't feel as good. You're not going to be as successful in crypto, with your relationships or anything. So the key is to just do the best you can. And whatever happens, you learn from it. You experiment. If it doesn't go your way, and Shakespeare said too, right? He said, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Right. Ultimately, nothing. We don't know what's good or bad in the end. We have our limited understanding and viewpoint, tunnel vision. But I mean, there are people who've had like extreme failures and defeats and illnesses, and they seem bad at the moment, but they turn out to be one of their greatest teachers. So you never know, man.
Wow. Okay, so now I'm curious, because I'm gonna put you on the spot and surprise you, but I'm honestly curious. So everyone out there, Prince actually is an incredibly intelligent guy. He downplays, he's just been trading cryptos for a little bit, but Prince has been incredibly successful trading cryptos. I mean, that's a reality. I'm not gonna, honestly, it's none of my business, what you have or anything, but I know you've been successful because we've talked, and I'm like, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. So let me ask you this, you want to talk about serenity and everything like that. Tell me about serenity these past 3 weeks, right? Because I don't know about you, but I've seen a sizable amount of, the portfolio evaporate, right? And I know your portfolio, like, again, we don't compare numbers, but my suspicion is your portfolio might be even bigger than mine, is at least on the same par as mine. I mean, like, your portfolio is substantial. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. So, Mr. Serenity, tell me how you approached watching, I don't know if it was 6 digits or 5 digits or 7 digits of the portfolio just evaporate.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is the ultimate test, right? Crypto, like a market correction, is like the ultimate mindfulness test, right? The universe is like, oh, you really think you're mindful? Let's lose 60% of your portfolio, And I feel it too, man. But I've also, since I've been in crypto for a while, I've seen these things happen. And I also think that you just got to have just a strong hand. Like you say, you can't be looking at it all the time. I mean, we we as humans, we have a negative bias, right? Like we look at the negative and give that more credence than the positive. So when things go up, we're like, okay, cool. But when things go down, I got to get out. It's over. Crypto is done. So so yeah, man. So my personal experience, I put in money that I could afford to lose. Like consciously, if I lost that, I know I'll still be okay. I think there's a lot of people that have put their identities onto the portfolio and onto the money, right? Which has led, right, his Bitcoin keys or something like that. And he committed suicide. One of the most famous traders in history, Jesse Livermore, who made $100 million by shorting the market during the Great Depression, lost a lot of his fortune, ended up with like $3 million, and then he killed himself, right? He wrote a suicide note to his wife and killed himself because he placed his whole identity on how much money he had in his bank account. And you can't do that. You can't. That's just it's like placing your identity on your physical appearance, right? You're gonna get old, and then what are you just gonna be miserable? Of course, it's the natural process.
So
yeah, man. So don't invest more than you. Yeah.
So let's ask for maybe actionable tips, right? So like, I know you've got your, because you preach this, right? So if I was, it's easy now because it's kind of up and we're all happy again. But like, let's turn back the clock, right? February 1st hits. I wake up, I look at Blockfolio, and it's like, oh, I got punched in the gut, right? So like, what do? Do you like make sure that you work out every morning? Do you like read some poetry? Are you like doing breathing exercises? Like, how are you able to keep your mind, because you're so at peace with yourself, and it's actually amazing, and people don't know this, but like Prince is saying this, but like Prince during that time, again, I can't say how much you lost, but you probably had your portfolio. There was a significant amount of value that got wiped out that, would make a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, this is, you've been very successful. So how do you go about this, right? It's like, you wake up and maybe you're losing, maybe it's like $500,000 has been wiped out of your portfolio and you're just like so happy and dandy and you're like, oh, I'm going to go record at the studio. I mean, that's amazing to me. I mean, you don't seem stressed. I'm like, wow.
I don't do that. I'm not like happy in there. Oh, the market's going down. Let's dance. Let's have a party. No, I'm not. Maybe I should. Maybe that'll be good. But I think one interesting thing to get into your mind is like an actionable step is to realize that you didn't really lose anything. You only lose if you sell, right? You only lose it if you sell. You see it going up and down, but you only profit when you actually pull it out, and you only lose when you sell. So ultimately, the issue isn't with the market; it's with your thinking about the market, right? It's your thoughts that are the problem, that are the issue. You change your thoughts, you change your perception about what's going on, you feel better, right? Thoughts always precede emotion. But you're also going to feel it. It's just a natural reaction. You see this going down, and our culture puts so much value on money. I mean, you can't get out of that one. So you're going to feel it. But, I also think that patience, not making a decision out of emotion, to sell, you end up selling at the bottom. That's what most people do. The average person, that's what they do. Right? They buy at the top and then they sell at the bottom. But what I do, I wake up, I absolutely meditate. I mean, this isn't some spiritual mumbo jumbo. I mean, meditation has empirical evidence from Harvard studies. Like it really makes you a calmer person, more productive, more energetic. It increases brain cells, right? Like I can show you tons of studies, meditation, sitting still. Yes, this is what it does. I meditate. Obviously, the food that you eat affects your mind. So like you said, the sugar, cutting down on sugar, and exercise too, right? If you want to increase the chemicals in your brain to make you happier, like dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin, you hug people, you eat the right foods, you smile, you do biofeedback. So there's one trick that I do. It's called power poses. You familiar with this?
Is that like a yoga thing or no, I'm not.
No, sorta. So actually, sorta. So it's based on a concept called biofeedback, which is, so we think that our mind affects our bodies, but also our bodies affect our minds, right?
Oh.
So if you stand straight up like this, right, you feel more confident. If you do this, you also feel more confident. And there's a great TED talk on this. You stand like Superman in the mirror for 10 minutes or 5 minutes before you do something, you'll have more confidence in doing that activity that you're going to do. Right. Wow. So understanding these biohacks. Yeah. All of these, and these are just, it's really just being a human again, man. It's going outside, it's taking a walk, it's being with friends, and not only focusing on this aspect of how much money you have, right? Because when you put your identity onto something like this, something that the government can take it away, or it's just so uncertain. When you put your whole identity on something that's so uncertain and so changeable, it's just the recipe for depression.
Wow, that's amazing.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's great. I mean, I think, for everyone out there who doesn't know who I'm with PrinceEA. He is an incredibly successful person in all walks of life. He also happens to have done very well in crypto, but I would say like his identity is based on, is on mindfulness. Like he's one of the, I respect this guy so much. He's so smart. He's so successful. And one of the reasons why I think it's great to have you on is, markets and investments is all about, it's so much sentiment based, right? People think money is this like mathematical game, but it's really emotional. And I feel like everyone who's tuning in, if you want to be an investor, if you want to be successful, whether it's crypto or stocks or real estate or anything, state of mind is key. And what impresses me most about you is just like how calm you are. Like, you're just like, yeah, it happened. And, and I know like, you've got these tricks, right? So I'm going to like keep my arms up now and I'll be more confident talking to you.
Yeah.
on that side.
Well, hey, first of all, Charles, I have the same respect and admiration for you, man. Just when first time we met, like you just blew me away, man. I appreciate our friendship, and I can't wait to see it further develop, man, and continue learning from you. But you mentioned something interesting about success, right? And that's something I think everybody needs to understand is what is success? What does it look like? For me, I mean, I've had the opportunity to be around, billionaires like, Branson, Oprah, like I like hang out with people at this caliber, and not all of them, but I'd say the majority of them I don't see that like vibrant amount of happiness that you might expect, right? Somebody has billions and billions and billions of dollars. Like I said, not all of them. Like there's some of them that do kind of have I got that vibration that they were fine, they were content. But a lot of them that I've met, they just don't have that, right? And I think Shakespeare, I keep quoting Shakespeare. He said, "I've met many unhappy kings, but many happy shoemakers." Right? So sometimes we have this idea that money, oh man, I get this amount of money, and then I'm going to be happy, and that once I get seven. And I've experienced this too, man. You just keep wanting more. And this isn't to say I think money is great. I think it's true what they say. People say, what did they say? Money may not be everything, but it's right up there with oxygen, right? I think financial freedom is what we should all strive for. But once again, if your identity is on how much money you have in your bank account, that is a recipe for failure and defeat.
No, definitely. Wow. That's amazing. Well, we've been on for almost an hour. We're going to wrap up, but before we do, let's talk about.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about what we're doing with this love token, and I know you're excited about that too. But let me kind of explain to you what's going on, and we'd love to get your opinion. So, we've come up with this idea for love token. I know you're all about love, so that's a positive thing. But what we're really doing, beyond it being a call it marketing gimmick, which there's a little bit of that in there. But what we really wanted to do with it is we wanted to make it easy and accessible for people to actually start using cryptos. Meaning, like, a lot of us invest in cryptos, but because it's actually money, we don't actually use it. Like, I don't send you, like, I don't have my wallet set up right, or I don't send, cryptos to other people, and that's really what the purpose of crypto is to actually use it. So what we're doing with the love token is, it's a token. And the reason why we made it as token is it's got to be something real. And we're just printing these out. Like, we're giving them away like candy. I mean, literally we press a button and, 1,000 more tokens come up. But the purpose is not the token. The purpose is to have a token that is free, that you can just send to somebody else and that someone else can receive it. And the reason why that's important is a lot of people out there, like, buying cryptos or whatever, like, they don't even know how to properly work a wallet. We're kind of afraid. If I've got, a Bitcoin, my Bitcoin to my wallet, I don't want to lose it, right? 10 grand. And people don't mess around with that. So, like, love is less about the token as much as it's going to be about education. So, like with love, we're including, programs in terms of like, hey, how do you install my Ether wallet, or how do you get the Trezor, or how do you get the Nano, or, how do you get the DAX going, how the actual Ethereum network works, right? Everyone, we're all buying these cryptos, but most people don't even know how to like calculate gas against, the cost, like all that sort of stuff. And that's actually the mission of love is education awareness. And by having tokens that you can send, right? Like, if I give you like 1,000 tokens and you're screwing around for the first time and you set them to the wrong spot and you lose 100 of them, who cares, right? It's like, it's no big deal because I'll give you more tokens to send. And it's I guess it's kind of like a game, but it's more than just a game. It's about, we want to spread awareness. We want to spread education so that people can learn about crypto and get in while it's, get comfortable and get in on it, while it's still on the ground floor. So yeah, that's kind of the thought. I don't know what you think about that, or what are your thoughts?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Charles. I think that's great, and I think that that education is going to be very, very useful for people because safety is key. Kind of in this space, and knowing how to do things, how to not lose a bunch of tokens or crypto, like it's key. So I love the idea, and I love the name too, the love token, because love is right. Love is about education. So that's what we're in. So how is it going to work? Is it you said it's based on the Ethereum?
It's basically an ERC20 token. So all you'll do is, we're going to get you involved in this. So, I'm going to give you, I'll send you, what, do you want 1 million tokens and you can go send them to everyone? Or maybe, we'll set up something because you have so many fans that, we'll automate things. Because if you were sitting there keying in Ethereum addresses all day, you would die. But if you can imagine, it's an ERC20 token, and there is no utility to it at all, other than the fact that the symbol is LUV. So it's kind of cool. Like it's kind of like, remember, like, you get an email and it's like, you've got mail, right? So you'll get like, when you get like your wallet, you get a little notification. Hey, you got some love, someone sent you some love. So like it's there to like give you a happy face, but being ERC20 compliant, what's cool is it can be sent to like all sorts of wallets. And it's actually a nice tool because, like, in some cases, certain wallets support ERC20 but don't support certain tokens. And then other wallets support ERC20 and support the tokens. Okay. So let me give you 2 examples. Like, did you use Jax at all, or are you familiar with the Jax wallet?
I'm familiar. I never used it though.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of wallets, but Jax is one wallet. I believe it's a free wallet. It's like a free wallet, and it is ERC20 compliant. And then there is the MyEther token wallet, which is kind of like the open source wallet that everyone builds upon. So like some of the training videos that we'll do, and we'll be doing live trainings on this all through the next couple of months, and would love you to get involved on these things and everything on that front. Is I might send you a love token through the Jax wallet. Now with the Jax wallet, how they're set up, they are ERC20 compliant, but it's not. So you'll receive it, but you won't actually be able to get it because it's not like officially supported. So then the way to actually get your token is there's a key recovery process to actually get those tokens like that are ERC compliant. Do you see what I mean? So like we're kind of creating a problem, but the reason for doing it is to give you an ability to like learn how to actually recover your stuff when you screw up. Do you see what I mean? And doing it where like if you screw up, it's not a big deal because imagine if you were selling like an Ethereum, right? If I sent you an Ethereum or maybe not an Ethereum, but something Ethereum based to your Jax wallet that wasn't supported and that address got fumbled or something got wrong, you might have lost like $1,000 and you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like you're just not going to do it. So yeah,
are you marketing? Is this a point of your marketing campaign? Like just kind of a walkthrough for people because so much money is lost, right? in just going back and forth to wallets and like, I think this is a great selling point, or not sell. Well, it's free, but you know what I mean. Selling point of the love token, man. Is this how you're positioning it, or not? Not really.
We are. I mean, honestly, it's less about. There's several things we're doing. First is it's definitely an education and awareness thing, and as you're aware, there's been some controversy surrounding myself and Dr. Boyce lately, and we feel the best way to respond to that controversy is to just be positive. You know what I mean? I don't want to just kind of like get into the muck. You know what I mean? Regardless of, I'm not saying anyone's right or anyone's wrong. I know I can be a little insensitive. That is not productive. I would rather channel my energy, and I'm sure you probably know all about this. Like I have a limited amount of mind share. You know what I mean? So it's like, what could I do? Yeah. I could go lawyer up and go after those people and try to do takedown notices all over YouTube and everything like that. But like that doesn't work. I mean, if anything, I'm just going to feed the negativity and I'm going to put myself in a bad spot. Or what I can do is I can channel that energy into something positive. And we're basically just going to just give education because this is something, I guess technically, yes, we are selling someone on this love token. Because, you have to sell it, even sell free stuff, right? Because you got to like tell someone about that stuff. But like, we're selling a good thing. I mean, it's just like, hey, you want to get into crypto, or maybe you don't know about crypto and everything like that. I'm going to provide you education on wallets, on how to transact this stuff, how to move it, how to get it when you lose it and all that sort of stuff. And I made a crap coin, which is essentially a no utility token called Love, because I wanted a real token that people can send and not have a problem losing it, right? So what'll happen is, like we're doing an airdrop. I mean, the airdrop's such a relative term because it's like, free stuff. So we're going to constantly keep supplying people tokens. But, we're doing an airdrop. I think our initial run is 10 million tokens. The second run, maybe it's 10 million, maybe it's 20 million. I don't know. Like we're literally it's not about the token. It's about the message and the awareness. Do you see what I mean? And we're still going to come up with, we're still coming up with it as we go. But we're going to, be programming a bunch of education. We've got a great team of people who are regular people that will be like trying out love tokens for all their different wallets and trying to break things. And do you know what I mean? Like it's great because it's like, it's a playground, but it's with real life. Do you see what I mean? And then it's beneficial. I feel so. Like that's what we're doing. It's really an awareness thing, because crypto is it's about using it and understanding it. Like what I would say is, if you can imagine, you've got the World Wide Web. Like let's tune back to like 1995, right? So most people who are like, first of all, there's the people have heard of crypto, And then of the people that have heard of crypto, there's like a small amount that actually bought crypto, right? So you've got a Coinbase or whatever, and you've bought some crypto. And then of the people that have bought crypto, let's say there were like 100 people that like, so there's 1,000 people that have heard of crypto, or maybe, no, there's 10,000 people that have heard of crypto. Of the 10,000, maybe 100 have actually bought something. Now of the 100, maybe 2 of them out of the 100 have actually used it. You know what I mean? So it'd be kind of like it's 1994, you bought some internet stocks, like you bought Netscape, but you don't even have you've never actually downloaded Netscape Navigator. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
And it's so much more beneficial. I mean, I'm not saying crypto is a bad investment. I mean, it's still speculative, but I think it's a great investment. But I think it's a better investment to become educated on the blockchain and crypto and everything like that, so you know what's going to happen 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and you're on, the ground floor. Like, think about, I mean, we're too young for this. Or I guess, how old are you? Can I ask?
I'm 29.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're younger than me. I'm 37. So like I got into .com stuff like back in high school, back in like 1996. But like I didn't know anything, but like I learned how to program, and I like learned about the web and stuff like that. And this was in high school. So that time I was in college, I was at a spot where like I was able to start my first business out of college, in the midst of the internet boom and stuff like that. It's kind of like, I mean, I know your story, and maybe we'll do a more in-depth thing, but if none of us have like a magic crystal ball that like, hey, I'm going to come up with a business idea, or I'm going to learn a skill and I'm going to be successful, as much as I believe it's about placing yourself in the right spot, having the skills so that when the opportunity comes, you're able to actually capitalize on them. So like I look at the world, I actually don't look at the world in terms of there are so many opportunities in front of us, but the issue is I don't see all the opportunities because I don't have that knowledge to actually see them. Do you see what I mean? And once as I gain my knowledge, what before I would dismiss, now I look at this and say, wow, this is great. So that's kind of a lot of the vision of this love token, is to kind of push this stuff out and to educate people so that they can take advantage of, I don't know what the opportunity is with the blockchain. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know in the next 10 years or the next 20 years, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. I love it. And when is this releasing?
Well, we're kind of playing it. It's an ICO pre-sale, but it's a free pre-sale, right? So we're going to release the token, on the 1st of March. But I'll sync up with you after about this. But right now you can go to the website. It's get.lovetoken.us, and you can register for it. So right now we're just having people, go out and register. So we have a list of people, and, the team and the guys in the background are working to get like the automations and the systems and all that stuff in place so that we can actually distribute this. And our goal is, for the first tranche, we want to give out 10 million tokens, and we want to give each person 1,000 tokens to start. So that means we want to get 10,000 people, 1,000 love each, so they can go, spread some more love. And, every month we're going to try to do, 10,000 more, and maybe we'll get a little more aggressive. I don't know, but that's the idea on that front.
That's awesome. I love how you're taking them through the ICO phase as well, which is awesome.
Well, it's a good thing too, right? Because if anybody, like, knowing how to, like, if you want to become a good crypto investor, and you start with the markets, and then you say, oh, well, maybe there's this ICO thing. Maybe I learn how to handle airdrops. Like, we're doing these exercises in a safe manner so that people can learn and not play with real money. Because it's actually kind of scary. Like, I don't know if you've ever done an ICO, but like, if you do an ICO, it's just like, okay, here's an address, send some Ethereum, and maybe you'll get some tokens. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where, that's kind of freaky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So we actually even have other, no, it'll be fun. So, hey, Prince, thank you so much for your time. I've taken almost an hour of your time, and I'm so appreciative that you've been generous with this. But if you're up for it, I'd like to make this like a regular thing. Maybe we sync up every week and just talk about stuff or whatever on that front. And I think the audience loves you. So
that'll be fun, man.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. Let's do it. Hey, I always ask people that I really look up to, man, what are their favorite books? right? And so I'm going to ask you, like, what's some of your favorite books that you read, books that have changed you, whether it be marketing, anything? What's your favorites? Some of your favorites.
Okay, so
Top three.
I'll start with the first one, and then you can decide if you want me to go to 2 and 3.
Okay.
A book I've recently read, and this goes into, so I guess I'm a marketer, but I'm really more of like an emotional sentiment guy, because marketing is all about understanding humans and understanding how they work and then doing it. So like it's funny. I was talking to a guy, actually we had dinner last night, and he's a tech guy. And I don't know if I told you, I was a programmer originally, and I started as a tech guy. The difference is like, tech guys look at like Ruby on Rails or Laravel. They're looking at all these frameworks. In my case, because of where I've gone to, about 6 years ago, I decided to move away from just pure tech. And I used tech to apply to human emotions. So if you can imagine, it's like happiness, sadness, anger, all these sorts of things. Like that's how I look at things. And it can come across as incredibly insensitive because I'm breaking things down in a systematic manner, but that's just how I think. You know what I mean? So take that in stride. So because of that, my interest is on all sorts of extremes, not because I believe in them, but I study them because that's like my art. Do you see what I mean? So like, for example, I'll look at like what Trump has done, and from a marketing and like moving human emotions, like it's a masterpiece. I'll look at, I'll study the Book of Mormon and what Joseph Smith did. Like, if you think about some of these ideas, they're crazy, right? It's like, and look, even like Jesus, like I personally, I'm a Roman Catholic. I believe in this stuff and I'm fairly devout, but, I step back and I look at Jesus, the marketer, or Paul, or actually it was Paul. If you look at Christianity, the guy that really blew it up was Paul. He was formerly known as Saul. Right, he was persecuting Christians, and then but if you actually like study what he did, it's pure genius. So I look at all these things. So with that in mind, the latest book I've been reading, this is crazy. There was a guy in the 1920s. His name was James Brinkley, and he was the reason why the American Medical Association basically came about. So this guy was a pure charlatan. I mean, he was known at the time, he was like America's great doctor. And his big thing that he pioneered was he had a procedure where he had convinced like the wealthiest people in America that if you implanted goat testicles into your body, that would make you a stronger male. Literally, like, you can go Google this guy. Like, so literally, like, this guy, like, and I mean, it's complete, like, and here's the thing, this guy wasn't even a doctor. He bought like his diploma, like at some like the equivalent of like, this was the 1920s, so they didn't have University of, fakeness or whatever, but he basically like printed a diploma, made himself a doctor. He was selling snake oil, like literally, and then he was like, snake oil sales are okay, but let me figure out how this goat testicle thing could really take off. And here's the crazy thing. He got to a point, he actually was so popular in the 20s, he ran for governor for the state of Kansas. Because like real people, so it's like normal, like the smart people knew the guy was a complete charlatan. They didn't allow him to run under the ballot. So they only allowed for write-in names. And they actually even rigged the election by, unless the person spelled the guy's name correctly, they threw those votes away. So imagine this situation. And this guy only lost by 20,000 votes against the established candidates.
Wow.
So now we can look at this and, you can look at that and say, okay, well, the guy's a scam. He's purely, there's no question. I mean, this guy, what he did was just completely wrong. But I look at that as like, wow, if you have the gumption, like he had a process that he followed. He had a system. You see what I mean? And his system had literally half of America. Like, these guys would fly in, and his hospital was in like the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And back then he charged, it was like, I think like $5,000 or $10,000 for the procedure, which in 1920s money was like 100, or, that was a lot. So here's a guy who is literally selling a medical practice that actually killed people. Like his death rates were atrocious. Like it was just bad. I mean, the guy ended up going to jail, but so there's a book out there actually. Do you know who Dan Kennedy is? Have you heard of Dan Kennedy before? Dan Kennedy is one of the masters like of direct response marketing. He's the guy behind like Proactive, like a bunch of these like really strong direct marketing brands and stuff like that. So there's the book. What happens is Dan Kennedy does like a bio of this guy, James Brinkley, but breaks it all down in terms of marketing and everything like that, saying, okay, this methodology, this is what he did, and this is how he got reach. This is how he got people to believe. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, yes. So the book is called Making Them Believe. If you Amazon or whatever, you can get like the Kindle edition for $8. I mean, I personally, like, regardless of the story is actually kind of funny to look at because you're like, oh my gosh, these people believed it. But the techniques from that, like, especially with you, because you've got a positive message or whatever, I believe that, there's techniques and there's message. And if the message is good, I believe I have a moral obligation to spread the message by any means necessary, assuming that I'm spreading a good message. You see what I mean? So again, it's debatable. I mean, you can go back and forth with them, and that's just my opinions. But that's how it is.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I think we're very similar in that we both we can learn from the famous and the infamous, right? Like we can learn from both. We can learn from everybody, right? Everybody's a teacher, especially people that have. I mean, if you can kind of co-opt the consciousness of millions of people, like it sounds like Brinkley did, or at least hundreds of thousands, then that's something that we should learn about. Why? Because ultimately we're the same humans. We have the same brains as these people did. We haven't changed evolutionarily, really. I mean, Hitler as well. You go, which, and I think it takes a level of intellectualism to be able, and really scientific, to be able to stand back. Right? It's like science is all about standing back and being objective, right? And if you take this approach to learning about both the people who did very good things in the world and people who did bad things, if you take the emotion out of it and just kind of distill how did they do it, I think you can learn great things. And if you have the right motives behind what you're trying to do, which also is subjective, but if we can agree on that, and it's for the good and benefit of the world, then I think that is intelligence to do that.
So that's one of them. That's a book if you want to read it or whatever. Making Them Believe. That's a great one. The next one I would recommend is actually called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. Now that book is actually really hard to get. It's out of print. So right now, like I bought my copy like a year or two ago for like $150. And I was actually just talking to someone. If you look at it on Amazon, selling it for like $400. So it's crazy. But like that's another great book to look at. And then the third book, if I were to recommend, is this thing called it's a Vedanta treatise. So Vedanta is a subset of Hinduism, which is the Vedas. And that's a good one for mindfulness and basically like being calm and one with yourself. So yeah, those are the three. So I know it was a quick question and I kind of went on for a little bit and I apologize, but
I appreciate you going on as well. I mean, I'm going to look up those books because I have so much respect for you. Vedanta is actually like, I'm very much into it. Very much. A lot of Vedanta teachers. So I got a ton of, what's the book called?
You know what? It's called the Vedanta. I got to look it up. It's called the Vedanta Treatise or whatever.
Okay.
And the thing is, like in my case, I don't read like Hindu or Sanskrit or anything, right? So you've got to read like the interpretations of that. So it is one person's interpretation of it, and it's one of the better ones that I've looked at, and everything on that front. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll shoot you a note with links to all the books and stuff like that, and maybe we could actually talk about that. It's actually that's one of the best ones for understanding like market sentiment. And I actually, unfortunately, I think we got to go, and we can keep going on and on and on.
Okay. All right.
This is another reason to get on next week. We'll keep talking about this stuff because this is fun for me. I like talking about this, and it seems like you're into this too. So.
Me too.
Alrighty.
Absolutely. All right, Charles, man. Thanks a lot, man. I'll speak to you next week, bro.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Thanks for everyone being on. Till next week. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.